Today we have a fairly unique reading. The Apostle Paul tells us that during our lives we see through a mirror dimly of things spiritual. And someday we'll see face to face. But in today's reading, the veil gets lifted. We have this rare moment where we see reality as it is. We see Jesus as he truly is. We see in the blazing light of glory. And we also hear God. God doesn't say a whole lot from the heavens in the Gospels. Very few words, but here we have words from God direct from the heavens. This is a very, very different moment. We're represented in the text by the disciples, and their instinct is to sort of create a shrine or create something with their hands to make this continue. They are men of their hands, or fishermen, and their instinct was to make something, to create. First reading is similar in that Abraham has this moment with God, this God that is beyond anything he's ever imagined in his culture, this new kind of God who tells him, I want you to go do something for me. And he goes, and he does it. And in response to his moment of transcendence, he creates. He creates a whole new race. He creates a whole new way of being. He becomes eventually the father of 3 religions. So it's this connection between transcendence and us being creators is what the tradition is asking us to think about today. And as a community through Lent, we have this theme we're working on, practical tools for surviving the apocalypse, times of chaos, sort of like waking up to this morning's news and finding out we invaded another country. Go figure. Surviving times like this. And one of the tools in our toolbox, the tradition is telling us today, is create. How are we creating, acting like our creator, taking our moments of transcendence and turning them into creation? So first we have to touch base with this transcendence, don't we? Most of us are not going to go on top of a mountain and see the face of God. Our transfiguration is more an inner thing. And I've got a quote from Thomas Merton I want us to go through to talk about the transfiguration as we are called to experience in our time. This is a text I commend to you throughout Lent because it's centering and it's also so hopeful. I want to read it for you. At the center of our being is a point of light, a point or spark which belongs entirely to God. It is like a pure diamond blazing with the invisible light of heaven. It is in everybody. And if we could see it, we would see these billion points of light coming together in the face and blaze of a sun that would make all the darkness and cruelty of life vanish completely. There are 2 remarkable faith statements in there in one beautiful promise. And I think all that is very relevant for our Lenten journey. The first faith statement is that there is someone in the center of our being that doesn't belong to us. Isn't that amazing? That there's part of our human experience that is being shared with someone that we don't control, that is not subject to our will, not subject to our whims and our traumas and our ego. The light is within us to be born. What an amazing faith statement. The second faith statement is even more remarkable, and it's not shared by many who claim the Christian mantle as their religion, is that this light, this spark of the divine, is in everybody. Everybody. Everybody made in the image of God has been given this light. Now, certainly not everybody shows it, not everybody accesses it, and equally demonstrates it, but it's in everybody. What a faith statement. What a different world of public policy would we live in if people believed the spark of the divine was actually in everybody, regardless of what they look like, their sexual preferences, etc., etc. Of course, the promise is there for all to see. Thomas Merton imagines that these points of light that we are part of are growing, relentlessly, inevitably growing, and that these points of light are going to eventually grow and emerge into a blaze that will eliminate darkness completely. Now, Thomas Merton didn't dream this up. This might sound familiar to stuff Paul says several times in various places in the epistles. Remember in Romans where he says, all creation is groaning, giving birth to Christ. It's one of my favorite lines. That's what we're all doing. We're all points of light giving birth to that, coming through all our traumas and our egos and our problems, giving birth through love to that. That is our transfiguration. We're not going to go on top of a mountain and see it. This is how we see it. It's within, it's in the faces of others, and it's the hope of the fabric of life coming together. This is what spawns creativity. This is what makes creation stir up in our hearts. There are people who study creativity and write about it, and frankly, right now, they're waving warning signs. They're saying creativity is on the wane. And it's kind of weird because some of the things that could be powerful things for creation, things like our phones and our tablets and our computers and our social networking, could be used to create things, unfortunately, our studies are showing are dulling us. Because these various tools are always selling to us, selling other people's ideas, asking us to follow, contribute, to say we like, this sort of thing. People who study creativity think we're becoming less creative. That it's more and more important that we find this inner transcendence and find how we can be creators. Critically important. The other thing that people who study this are saying is that creating is really good for you. That there's a lot at stake here. It's not just that we lose out, others lose out, you lose out. There's a study in 2017 in Norway that I found fascinating where they put these lids on people's heads where they could study brain waves and brain activity. And they had some people over here typing, doing normal work, and the other people over here drawing, making art. Now, these people weren't very good at it, by the way. They were just doing it. The amount of brain activity over here was multiples of what was going on over here. Now, typing and creating language is not a bad thing. It's just over here where we're doing something creative and using our hands, they find out, our brain starts jumping. Now, I don't know about you, but as I get closer to my 70th birthday, I'm interested in things that keeps my brain jumping. I want to keep my brain growing and agile and active. And what these folks are learning is that by creating, that makes the brain healthy and happy. It doesn't have to be big things. It could be knitting. It could be gardening. It could be, my wife has just started pottery. It's driving her nuts, but she is learning how to make a pot with her hands. And she's benefiting from it. We heard a great reading from Maria Brawler here as our second reading, who's a creativity coach. And I want to point out a couple things she said that are just so prophetic. She says that in times of chaos like today, to be a creator, even in simple ways, is almost an act of defiance. It's that I'm not going to just accept the noise. I'm not going to accept other people wanting me to accept their agenda, to do what they want me to do. I'm just not going to be a consumer of information. I'm going to be a creator of something. It's like an act of defiance in this world of overloaded consumption. The other thing she says mirrors what Merton says. She says, our little acts of creation, even if nobody knows about it but us, are not lost. They're like pinpricks in this fabric of life that ultimately is going to come together. It's not like you're alone, that we're webbed together, that our creation, our light, makes a difference, even if it's in the privacy of our lives. We're doing something healthy. Then she says, creating basically says we're listening. And it's great. She says, you're telling the universe, or we might say telling God, God, I'm listening. I'm listening to you. Well, that sounds familiar. Who else said something about listening a minute ago? God did. God's very few words from the heavens was what? You are my beloved. This is my beloved. Listen to him. I think we have in those words from the Creator, the very few words from the Creator, a pattern of creation that we can all participate in whenever we want. I certainly would like you to have great creation hobbies and create justice, create methods for helping people. All that's great. But we have a simple method here of creating whenever we want. You are my beloved. Listen to him. What if we went home and talked to our spouses and created our spouses or our other partners and said, you are my beloved. I'm listening. What if we said to our children and our grandchildren, you are my beloved. I'm listening. What if we said to the person at the soup kitchen we're serving, or the person at work, or the person who's serving us at work? We might not say, you are my beloved, but maybe we could say, you are a beloved. I'm listening. You matter. What are we creating when we say that? We're actually creating trust. We're actually creating connection, right? We're creating self-esteem, particularly in young people. I'm listening. You have something to say. God is showing us in a few words how we can create whenever we want, in addition to the practices of creation that are as varied probably as the people in this room. So what can we do with this Lent? Perhaps for you, as we consider Lent as a time of rethinking things, getting centered, identifying practices that can help us survive these days. Perhaps for you, it's this part. I need to get back into transcendence. I need a little more transfiguration in my life. Maybe that's the focus. Or perhaps it's, I need to start knitting. I need to start something. I gotta learn the piano. I gotta start creating. You know, I had a funny thought when I was doing this. I don't know if you've all had relatives or friends who knit. Have you ever seen anybody sitting there knitting, being unhappy? Have you ever seen an unhappy knitter? Never. They're just so content, using their hands, making something. And they're just like, I'm good. A great example of what this is all talking about, how the healthiness of that. So perhaps that is this Lent something for you to think about. But let's all think about what God is talking about. Let's all talk like God. We do that a lot here. Let's keep doing it. Let's be people who look with our eyes and the way we behave and even our words. You are beloved. I'm listening. Amen.